church where you have an assignment.
Good morning, sir. And I was going to say, that is a nifty tie. So, and that, do you have one of your cards?
Mm-hmm.
Business cards? Good. I will set up a meeting with you, sir. So.
An important man.
Yes, I am. And I help out the blind community all the time. So,
That's good.
and you are
I'm Diana Shen.
Diana. Nice to meet you. I'm Andrew Crane, founder of Guiding Paws ICT, supporting the blind community and blind individuals with guide dogs.
Excellent.
So,
Wonderful.
yes. So, I still say, we need transportation needs to, county and city need to work together. We can get that happening.
Ooh, excuse me. All right, podium test, 1, 2, 3. Podium mic test, 1, 2, 3.
And get Section 8 connected to county and city.
Manager mic test, 1, 2, 3. Manager mic test, 1, 2, 3.
Maybe we can work on that together.
Okay. Put that on that plate.
County mic test, 1, 2, 3. County mic test, 1, 2,
We
3.
can both work it together. So, and get Mr. Beatty to come up there and say,
Attorney mic test, 1, 2, 3. Attorney mic, 1, 2, 3.
let's make him happy.
Big holiday plans?
Lopez mic, testing 1, 2, 3. Lopez mic, test, 1, 2, 3.
What age?
2.5, and we ordered over 5.
Fun ages. Christmas is very exciting for them then. Are they doing the elf on the shelf business in their house? Holy cow, there's a little bit going on. Well, that's a hard one to live up to. What a great opportunity for
When
them.
we can meet.
Okay, I'm bringing up the mic test. Hold on. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, Ben, let me know how that sounds.
That's what we're
Like Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning? I'm best in the mornings.
I'm not much
Yeah.
of a
Okay.
And
the 23rd has to be today, or it doesn't have to. Hey, good morning.
We want to put
This
together
is Jessica.
that
She's the director of art development.
on the like,
I don't like when we're saying that differently.
Did they shove that under?
They do. So before you sit down,
Okay, Andrew, I need to prep.
you will get out.
go, 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 go.
Look very festive.
Your word.
And the instructions are in this blue folder. Right on the front.
Okay, how mic, testing 1, 2, 3. How mic, test 1, 2, 3. Meitzner, oh, here we go. Meitzner mic, testing 1, 2, 3. Meitzner mic, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wonderful. A long time ago. I was gonna say. Good. I'm glad.
Dennis mic, testing 1, 2, 3. Dennis mic, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
How much fanfare will we be getting? Stuff.
Do you have to push this?
Nope.
It's always on.
Yep. If they change anything, if they like make a substitute motion, and have extra motion sheets, I get them out just in case.
Okay.
And then
What about this?
we don't need that. That is
Okay.
for our journal, so we'll put that in our journal when we go back upstairs.
Okay.
So when 30 seconds remains on the timer, if they come, then you will hold up this,
To who? To the speaker? Okay.
and then you don't say anything, you just hold it up for a couple seconds, and then put it back down.
So I put what time when
Yeah.
it starts?
So it's, you can go ahead and write the 9. And then just kind of wait, don't
AM.
check the time. Yep.
Y and down.
P.
P.
Yep, you just write P down once you know they are all here. Good morning. Good, how are you?
she would not get on Kellogg for anything. I'm like, you think you would be scared of the side roads, but that's ones that you would go to. They don't seem to bother you. But of course, she drives like a grandma. I'm like, I understand the point of driving like a grandma, but you're gonna cause an accident driving like a grandma. And she does this. I'm like, okay. So now I'm like, I'm just gonna drive. Never been through a, knock on wood, an accident. I've been rear-ended.
All right, we're going to be starting shortly, so stand by.
Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close.
All right, 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. All right, here we go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank all you here that are in the crowd and those that are watching on KPTS and our YouTube and Facebook channels. So with that, today is Wednesday, December 13th, hitting the Christmas season. So with that, we will call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk.
Indication to be led by a moment of silence. Please remain standing for the flag salute.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Roll call. Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Dennis.
Present.
Commissioner Beatty.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Chairman Meitzner.
Present. Next item, please.
County announcements.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Nicole Gibbs of Strategic Communications. First off, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows Recovery Connect, the Sedgwick County initiative to help residents, small businesses, and nonprofits recover from the economic impacts of COVID-19, have achieved its purpose and will end operations this Friday, December 15th. The Community Navigator program launched in January 22 and connected people in need to financial resources available at the local, state, and federal levels. I wanted to share also that in the almost 2 years since its inception, Recovery Connect served many in our community, including 4,972 individuals, just over 2,000 small businesses, 1,098 nonprofits, and they held 929 free workshops and meetings that included information on small business consulting, childcare licensing, nonprofit certification, and grant writing. For those still seeking assistance from Recovery Connect after December 15th, we will be referring you to existing community resources such as United Way. Next up, the Sedgwick County Election Office is holding its first ever I Voted sticker design contest. The competition is open to all students in Sedgwick County, grades 6 through 12, and the winning design will be the official I Voted sticker given to thousands of voters at polling sites and with advanced ballots during the 2024 electoral season. Here to share more is the Election Commissioner, Laura Rainwater. Ma'am?
Good morning, Laura. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for letting me speak, Nicole. I am happy to announce this exciting contest that we are going to use to engage our future voters in Sedgwick County. As a supervising judge, when I worked the election sites, one of the best things I loved seeing was when parents came in with their kids and introduced them to voting. It's very important that we engage those students, and I came up with this idea when I saw Johnson County's I voted in Johnson County sticker, which was super cool. Somebody sent it to me this last election, and I thought, we need a Sedgwick County specific sticker that we can wear with pride. A lot of people save those, put them on their laptops, take photo opportunities you see them on social media all the time. And I thought this would be a good way that we could get our kids in Sedgwick County involved in elections at an early age. So I reached out to a county in Texas that actually does this every single year, got some best practices and ideas from them, and we came up with what we have now. So the deadline to enter is March 29th. You can enter as many designs as you would like. You go to our website, there's a entry form, a parental release form, and a template for them to use to put their designs on and submit to the election office. We will have a distinguished panel of judges decide the 3 finalists. We'll do a first, second, and third place and recognize them here in April at a commission meeting. I also want to display all the artwork at our early voting sites, put them up so that voters in Sedgwick County can see what talented kids we have in Sedgwick County. So.
Great idea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else, a comment? Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And Merry Christmas.
Sounds like a great idea.
For today's County Good News, Lee Barrier of the Purchasing Department was recently awarded the 2023 Buyer of the Year Award from the Kansas Association for Public Purchasing Professionals. The Buyer of the Year Award recognizes buyers who have made significant contributions to the profession. Lee is here. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to say hello to her, and we wanted to congratulate her on her award.
Okay, congratulations. Congratulations, Lee.
Thank you.
You want to say anything about buying?
No, I'm good, thank you.
In the Christmas spirit, you're the buyer of the year, huh?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Congrats.
I'm honored to accept this, and you're only as good as the team around you, and I have an amazing team, and they're the reason that I'm able to excel. So, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
And that's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for the summary report on Recovery Connect. That was good information. Okay, next item. Anybody else? No comments? Okay, next item, please.
Public agenda.
Commissioners, we didn't have anybody sign up for public agenda, so we will go to the next item, please.
Consideration of minutes. Item A, regular meeting minutes of November 8th, 2023.
Commissioners, if it's all right, we'd like to combine items A and B, which is the regular minutes of November 8th and 15th. If
Second that.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Next item, please.
New business. Item C, consideration of funding requests made by NXTUS in the amount of $100,000.
Okay. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, I'm Brent Shelton, your Deputy CFO. With me today is also Mary Beth Jarvis, who is the CEO of NXTUS, and Deborah Gladney is the CEO and one of the co-founders of WorkTorch, which is a company that has benefited from some of the programming offered by NXTUS. And I think they want to address you at the conclusion of my remarks.
Okay.
So the item before you this morning is a non-recurring $100,000 funding request from NXTUS. It is in order to provide required public sector grant matching funds for additional build-to-scale grants from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. NXTUS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to help entrepreneurs grow companies of significance. Historically, NXTUS began as E2E, and NXTUS is the successor to that organization, which was formed in 2014. It was launched to support entrepreneurs with startup ideas in Wichita. 4 years later, E2E created Accelerate Venture Partners. That was in order to broaden the foundation of angel stage capital investment throughout the region. And then the following year, AVP, or Accelerate Venture Partners, became one of the fastest growing venture capital or angel syndicates in the United States. In 2020, E2E became NXTUS, and they created Next Stage Programming to mentor early stage companies and provide necessary tools and resources for them to grow. Now, recognizing the need for entrepreneurs and small businesses to take a product or service and make it revenue producing, NXTUS focuses on connecting those entrepreneurs both to customers and to capital. They have 3 distinct but complementary programs within which they do this work. Briefly, they have a customer traction cohort that targets stalled startups with go-to-market strategies and helps them move into that early revenue stage. They have an enterprise management series that targets startups with viable products that are struggling to engage enterprise or large customers. Those could be both public or private sector. And then they have capital programs that connect entrepreneurs and small businesses that lack the access to typical financing options with prospective angel investors and entrepreneurs. During the 2-year period of 2021 and 2022, NXTUS served nearly 500 entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds across the region. Over 80% of those that were served across these programs were from diverse or typically underserved populations, females, veterans, ethnic and racial minorities. So for every 5 that were served, 4 came from those types of populations. Now, these activities are supported and funded through grants from the U.S. Economic Development Administration, as well as grants from the Ewing, Marion Kauffman Foundation. And specifically to the EDA grants, they require a 1-to-1 match for the build-to-scale grants, for which NXTUS has provided this programming and is going to seek additional funding from the EDA. One of the biggest scoring criteria for the success of those grants is to have public sector grant match support, which is why they're here today. What this creates is a financing stack for next stage programming that leverages local public sector funds with local private sector donations and then those EDA grant funds. So the but-for, county funding support, this public sector support, future EDA grant funds are very unlikely to come, which puts the next stage programming at risk. So the next question you might ask is, why do you care if this next stage programming is put at risk, if it's reduced or eliminated? I would submit a couple of things to you. One is that funding that comes to the community to do that won't be there anymore. $750,000 potentially from the EDA, leveraged funding from them, as well as funding from the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. But more importantly, that programming has delivered some results and future economic activity that are based on things that we have seen in the past from this programming would be jeopardized. Part of the programming requirements or the funding requirements that NXTUS has to fulfill to get the EDA funding is to provide them with performance metrics. from those performance metrics, which are region-wide, they extrapolated the economic activity that was specific to Sedgwick County, so you could take a look at what the Sedgwick County investment would yield back to Sedgwick County. And what we found from that is that the next stage programming results, the companies that participated, the entrepreneurs that participated in that received $17.5 million in capital investment. There were 133 direct jobs created, 35 startup companies, all within Sedgwick County. So that was a subset of the total results that they achieved. We did some internal analysis to see, because we look for a return on investment when we put county dollars toward initiatives. And if we took the $17.5 million, the 133 jobs, and looked at payroll for people that live and work in the county, and they turned that into consumer spending, we looked at money that's spent for furniture, fixtures, and equipment, things to get an entrepreneurial venture up and running. And we captured, say, 40% of that occurred within the county. That would generate sales tax revenues in the $75,000 range over a 12-month period, which gets us to a break-even point somewhere between 12 and 18 months for the $100,000 investment of county dollars. We did not look at other types of funding or other types of returns in terms of sales tax, from product sales, from other types of things, maybe real estate investment that might have increased the tax base. This is specifically sales tax dollars on that $17.5 million in capital investment. I would also indicate to you that these type of job creation and capital investment numbers would qualify an entity or a number of entities to property tax abatements under our economic development guidelines. Those were approved by the city and the county and a couple of other cities in the county. So we could be seeing these kind of numbers from another company, and they would qualify under those guidelines. So I think you can support this within the guidelines that exist that you have approved. So because of the job creation, because of the work that's going on, creating this entrepreneurial ecosystem throughout the county and the region, I would recommend that you fund the NXTUS request of $100,000, and I would further recommend that we pay it out of our 2023 budget, the Economic Development Program in the County General Fund. I think Mary Beth Jarvis would like to visit with you now. If you have questions for me, I'll entertain them. Otherwise, I would invite Mary Beth to the lectern.
Mm-hmm. Is there any questions so far? Okay, I don't see any. Mary Beth? Good morning, Mary Beth. Thanks for all you've been doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. I will be brief. I won't stand back there and try to get out of it completely, but I will be brief. I am grateful to the Commission for considering this request. I'll just add a little bit of color to Brent's why we're here. We have, as a young organization, a startup ourselves, if you will, we have been growing steadily for the past 5 years. Principally, and until this one USEDA wave of grants that came in late 2021, purely on private sector support. Individuals, entrepreneurs that want us to be great at this, right? That want us to be intentional in this region about growing our own and speeding the pace of innovation to both not only kind of grow our economy, but also increase our region's participation in the innovation economy. So trying to really get behind entrepreneurs and founders and innovators that are driving the growth of tomorrow's businesses, of transformation within our current industries and in the growth of new industries in the region. But about a year into having received the first 2 ever USEDA Build to Scale grants in the state of Kansas, I attended a conference in Colorado for EDA, and went in there all proud of ourselves that we were achieving, or we were en route to achieving 100% of the match that we needed for those funds, strictly from the private sector. And it became very clear to me very fast that that would make us a one-trick pony with respect to the feds. When we go back to them in 2024, the latter part of this coming year, for either a renewal of build-to-scale, of build, or a scale, meaning we double down and they invest twice as much in us and the growth efforts we're attempting in our region, we have got to have public sector support from the local entities. It just is a must-have for them to consider us a player in the region that deserves greater federal support. So I'm wholly behind, Brent's kind of ROI discussion. I would just add to that our ability to continue to obtain and increase the investment by the federal government in the growth of this region, our organization will need to show that we are contributing in a way that it is understood, appreciated, and engaged in by the city and the county. And so we were grateful to achieve some city funding about 3 weeks ago from the council. Would love to have you entertain this funding. As he mentioned, this is non-recurring. This is to sort of be able to include Sedgwick County as a backer as we go forward in 2024 for the next round and the growth of this business. A couple of brief words about us and sort of how we work together. Brent mentioned the rebrand a couple of years ago from the E2E Accelerator, which was Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur Accelerator, to NXTUS. And I'm a little bit of a word geek, as folks who know me know. And we really tried to send a clear message there. We want to be a nexus, a connecting point for entrepreneurs, for business, for community organizations that we connect with innovation and solutions. We also want to be a leader in helping the region imagine our next us. Who are we as a business community, as a broader community, if we look to our participation, the growth of entrepreneurs and the way they change their own lives, but frankly their superpower as changers of our community, and the enthusiasm and intentionality with which we pursue tomorrow's economy, and frankly do it with a greater sense of equity and inclusion than we have in the past. We have found in the work of supporting entrepreneurs, specifically the work of supporting startups, meaning growth-minded. You are not today what you want to be tomorrow, particularly those that have a technology component, particularly those that want to have access to growth capital, risk capital, private capital designed to help them grow their business faster. That universe has just not been a level playing field, and we want to work intentionally to create greater opportunity. You shouldn't have to have a personal relationship or a family relationship to fund your early stage business if it has merit and if you are willing to put the sweat behind it. You ought to have a network of forces around you that helps meet you where you are, make sure you understand the vocabulary, have confidence about what risk capital is about and what the stages of a growing startup could feel like to a leader, so that you can compete on a level playing field for growth capital and opportunity. We work alongside lots of agencies, SBA, SBDC, the CREATE campaign, the new entrepreneurship support capability of Empowered Network Kansas, which helps rural entrepreneurs around the state. We aren't the help you get from the idea on a napkin to your first day of business. We are the help you get from customer number 3 to customer number however many you need. And if you are a scalable, particularly technology-driven company, help you access growth capital that can accelerate that progress. So we are the handoff point to and from other organizations that help find and educate and improve and bolster entrepreneurs in the region. We're a classic 501c3 entrepreneurship support organization. As I mentioned, we were 100% private sector supported until we were able to earn these federal grants. It is my hope and request that you'll look at NXTUS, our lean team, and our ability to deliver results and invest on behalf of the county, and then everybody gets to spike the football of the results that we're able to create for entrepreneurs and for the county and for the region. I could take questions right now, but I also want to make sure at some point here and introduce Deborah Gladney.
Yeah. There's maybe a couple questions. Commissioner Beatty.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you, Deborah, for being here today. I'm a comment and then a question for Brent. I'm a product of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in this community. It was an angel investor that got my company started in 2006, which has also led to over 500 people being employed in Sedgwick County and close to 1,000 throughout the state. And that began because of an angel investor. And what I know to be true is not just the impact that entrepreneurs and small business owners have in this community, but its impact in regards to the other things that we do. Because of success in small business, I've been able to fund nonprofits, start nonprofits, do other things in this community that has an incredible, tangible benefit to the quality of life here in Sedgwick County. So I want to be a loud advocate for entrepreneurs and small business owners because it's my life story. I'm a walking testimony of the impact of this ecosystem here. But the access to capital is one of the biggest challenges that young entrepreneurs have, particularly young entrepreneurs from minority communities. It's a significant challenge. And what all communities that have thriving entrepreneur and small business ecosystems have is they have a strong angel investor network. And it's you got to have access to capital, particularly capital in today's world through traditional means. Banking means are more expensive. Dollars are more expensive to come by. So we have to encourage in as many ways possible a strong angel investor network and the conduit that gets these entrepreneurs through this space. And I'm a walking product of that. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing in this community to help tell the story of the small business owner and the entrepreneur that's attracting and retaining the talent here in this community. So Brent, question on, you made a comment, 2023 Economic Development Fund is where you're suggesting this comes through. What was the fund, what was that line item, economic development for 2023? What was that total amount that we had?
We had original budget authority of 1.9 million. We've got just shy of $1.4 million remaining in that fund.
So we budget in economic development 1.9 million, and we've used 600,000. Is that
about a little over 5 this year so far?
1.4 million unassigned from that suggested line item. What is the purpose of the Economic Development Fund?
We fund, the biggest item in that is Greater Wichita Partnership that does economic development outreach for us as well as for the other cities in the region. That's $400,000 that we've committed to that each year. There's some salary support in that. And then the other thing is that it's available for opportunities. So for instance, next year, money that's going to go through that fund will be doing the refundable or the KDOT grant for Charlotte Pipe.
Yeah.
Some of those infrastructure spends are going to happen next year out of that fund. So we intentionally leave a portion of that unassigned because we don't know when these opportunities might arise.
But you're wanting to move this through the 2023, not the 2024, correct? So 2024, we're going to see things like Integra come through the Economic Development Fund. We're going to see things like Charlotte Pipe, kind of out in the neighborhood that I live in. We're very excited about this company coming to town. We did some things through the airport, correct? So there are things that we do here under the incentive of trying to foster economic growth in this community. And I'm going to be strongly in support of what Mary Beth has brought to us today because I can think of no bigger and better proponent of using economic development funds than the entrepreneur and the small business owner that is the backbone of this community. So I'm grateful that we get an opportunity to have this conversation and to elevate the story of small business owners and entrepreneurs in this in Sedgwick County because it's a story that doesn't get told as much as it should. So that's helpful to know kind of the logistics of how we plan on or how you plan or suggest we can put this thing together. So I'll set aside and listen to some other questions and comments, but thanks for the info.
Commissioner Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And before I start, I'll support this. So put your mind at ease, okay? But let me let you know why that I had some concerns when we started this. And I've had meetings with the manager, with Mary Beth, with Valerie, and with Brent, and I've attended every event that Mary Beth has invited me to learn more about this. So I am responsible to spend taxpayers' general funds in the best way possible. And when we do that, we try and look at what our return on investment was. And the meeting that I had with Mary Beth and with the manager and Valerie and Brent, at that point, we didn't have all these numbers that you got up on the slide right now. And one of the things we always do is if we're going to spend taxpayers' money, we want to make sure we have a return on that investment, that we don't just give money away. And so I appreciate the fact that we do have a very positive return on this investment. And that was one of the questions that I had to begin with. The other concern that I had is bringing nonprofits out of cycle. We have that happening very frequently. And it damages, I believe, our budget. It hurts our planning process. And I know that the manager has put together kind of a proposal. The commissioners have all seen it. We haven't passed it, unfortunately. But I believe that that's something that we need to move forward with, is we need these type of spending asks in our budget rather than coming up at the last minute and trying to come up with the funding at the last minute. So I do hope that we can get a proposal put together that all of commissioners, at least 3 of us, agree with, that gets us to the point where that we have a planned way of funding these type of asks rather than coming in at the last minute after we've already passed a budget. This is the end of 2023. And granted, we have money in an economic development fund, but if we don't spend it, we get to carry it forward. And that money is still there for the next budget cycle, and it's taxpayers' money. And I always look very closely at taxpayers' money. So I just want you to understand that I had a lot of concerns. I appreciate the work that finance has done and the discussions with Mary Beth on this to get me comfortable with voting for this. Because I'll tell you, it took me a long time to become comfortable with it. So I just want an organized process in place for the county rather than having every nonprofit come up to us and say that they've got a need. And a lot of these nonprofits, I understand, have a need. But again, the nonprofits are normally funded by the community. I understand in this case you need government support in order to be able to get the grant. But a lot of the other nonprofits have support from the community. And if the community is not supporting them, why are we deciding over 2,000 nonprofits on which ones that we're going to support with taxpayers' money if the taxpayers aren't doing it? So that's my concerns, and I know that Valerie and Brent have heard this a number of times. I know Mary Beth heard it when we talked, but I do have concerns when I spend taxpayers' money. So, again, I'll vote for this when there's a motion. Thank you.
Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, Mary Beth, thank you for being here today. And some of my questions have been answered already. I just wanted to confirm a couple of things. I see in the material here, I'm not sure you said it out loud, but I see in the material, this is intended to be a one-time request. So there's no intent to come back next year and continue this request necessarily.
No, it was funny. I got that same question at the city, and I'll answer it the same way. This is not, oh my gosh, we're running out of money, please save us. This is make an investment such that we can continue to grow our revenue streams that respect and acknowledge and frankly seek your guys' participation in this. If we were ever up here again, it would be because we were continuing to build upon that and would have, as Commissioner Dennis pointed out, the economic results story to tell. But that is not our intention at this time. It's a non-recurring. This is not intended to set up a lifeline. It is intended to strengthen our position for this next 3-year round of grant making.
I forget what year it was, but I think you and I both attended a city-to-city tour. It was either Nashville or Raleigh. I'm not sure where it was, but they talked about their accelerator program, and we came back from that city-to-city tour, and pretty much right after that, we started I guess it was called E2E.
Correct, E2E accelerator.
That was back in, I looked it up just a minute ago, it was January 2016. It's been going on for a while, and so by now, we ought to have a crazy resume about all the wonderful things. I'm not familiar with the resume. I see the slide there, and that slide is actually really encouraging because like Commissioner Dennis, I was concerned about, what are the accomplishments, because we've been down this road for a while, and I wanted to make sure that there's actually results, and it looks like there are. And I don't know the details of those results, but I do. That slide is impressive, and I'm glad to know that data. So I appreciate that. I think as we continue this, if there ever is a desire to continue some type of funding relationship, that we continue to have more and more data to prove that this money is actually doing really good, important things that would not happen without the investment. And that's really, Brent mentioned the word but for this investment, this will not happen. So it sounds like there is a requirement for public funding to get this grant. And that's really the reason why we're here today. Right. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What is interesting is that data you see is from 1 year, the very first year, the very first dime of public monies from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. That was the value created in that first year. So we just finished year 2 of this first round of grants and moving on. So we expect the growth. I mean, if you look in 2018, supported only by a handful of entrepreneurs, this organization called E2E at the time had a wonderful impact on about 30 entrepreneurs in Sedgwick County. And they made a difference, and those companies live today and are growing. But in 2023, or 2022, I think were the numbers Brent used, it's more than 500 a year. And so we, the first couple of years of the organization, I think were spent trying to figure out what the ecosystem needed most and where we could do the most good without cannibalizing or competing with what other entrepreneurship support organizations really had at the heart of their mission. And I really feel like we started to hit our stride beginning in the middle of 2018, and that last 5 years has been a growth journey. And I didn't come to the organization until 2019, so that's not a Mary Beth thing. That's an organization really finding its way and beginning to build a team, a suite of products, and an impact footprint that has continued to really grow and be meaningful.
So if I was going to describe what this does, again, a little bit different than SCEDS. SCEDS gets involved in microloans and that type of thing. But what this does is more of a Shark Tank mentality that brings across successful business owners and entrepreneurs that comes along and mentors people who are coming into the idea of some innovative new business idea. And that mentorship, that networking is that connector you're talking about, the connector of helping them figure out how to get capital, how to find customers, and to encourage them to make the best business decisions to be successful. So that's, in a nutshell, how I would describe what this is. Am I close?
No, we need to I could get into the specific programs and bore you to tears for hours because I'm such a nerd about it. But I think in the biggest of pictures, we want to meet our early stage entrepreneurs where they are, which, by the way, is sitting in miles of passion and hard work and sweat, and then try to take their efforts and channel them in the most effective ways to be able to grow and scale their businesses faster. It changes their lives faster. It changes the community faster. And so we connect them with mentors and resources, some sort of classic accelerator programs, coaching weekly, that sort of thing. And some of it is more just guerrilla warfare, roll up your sleeves, one-on-one. And this access to capital that Commissioner Beatty talked about is just not, we're behind in the region. And frankly, we have to treat it like a team sport in Sedgwick County, but also in our neighboring areas, because we need to bring outside money here, and we need to have money flowing out, because if we, as the middle of the country, don't play this as a networked system of risk capital entities, angels, and funds, then we're going to continue to lag behind the coasts and even some of the cities that have, or some of the regions that have gotten ahead of us in the middle of the country. So we're just taking the quality and reach of these programs for growth-minded entrepreneurs and kicking them up 6 or 7 notches.
Well, one reason I think that we should support this today, and again, I also, like Commissioner Dennis, I'll just stay up front, I'll support it. So, but the economy is a little bit weird right now, and one of the things that we all feel right now, anybody that's involved in any type of business is struggling to find labor that we can afford and to create more jobs. I actually had some folks react to me because we have this narrative about creating high-paid jobs. They're struggling to find people they can afford to hire that are willing to work for what they can afford to pay them. And essentially, there's businesses on the other end of the spectrum that are almost going out of business because they can't find that labor. So we are creating jobs. And, we hear the adage, the rising tide raises all ships or whatever. I think at the end of the day, this is actually good for the economy overall, but it is a bit of a surge of adrenaline into our local economy that does have an impact in businesses that currently don't exist, that will come online because of this. But we also don't want to forget those businesses that are struggling to find people to fill those positions that are empty. Even we in government are having trouble finding people to fill some of our jobs. And so I just want to be very careful with the narrative about creating jobs. I mean, typically most years, that's a wonderful narrative. And even this year, I think it's still a great narrative. But the economy is a little bit different today than it was even a few years ago. And then finally, I had a question about the source of funding, Economic Development Fund. I think that's very appropriate. Brent, you mentioned something about property tax abatements. I don't know. Please explain that again. I understand what you said.
The city and county economic development incentive guidelines that you adopted in, I think it was October of 2020, allow for property tax abatements based on job creation, capital investment, entrepreneurial activity is one of the criteria. These numbers would, if we were looking at a company that was projecting this type of investment and job growth, they're going to qualify for 100% property tax abatement.
Okay, so do they have to apply for that? And what's this program called? It's not an IRB, it's not a TIF.
The IRB program.
It'd be under the IRB program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
do we have to approve those independently then?
depending on where it's located, if it's located within one of the cities or in their incorporated areas and they issue the IRBs and grant the exemptions, that's under their jurisdiction. If it's in the unincorporated area, then the county has the ability to approve or deny that.
What I'm saying is it's not administratively approved. It goes to a governing body that has to pass a resolution to approve the IRB.
Right.
Very good. All right. I think that's all my questions. I like the idea of you can use this if you like. I want to continue to be the leading edge of economic development, and I think that Wichita, we ought to adopt that phrase. We are the leading edge. We split the air, if you will, creating entrepreneurs across this country. I mean, they develop those ideas right here in Wichita, and to do that, we have to invest, if you will, in making sure those best ideas have the support of our community. Thank you so much.
Okay, Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you. Did you want to add something?
No. If you're, I was going to make sure Deborah got to come up here.
Okay. Well, it's great to see you again. We had a meeting already this morning, so it's good to see you for the second time. We do have the Economic Development Fund, and like Commissioner Dennis was stating, we're trying to figure out how do we make this process a little bit easier for people to follow, because right now we just don't have a process, so it's hard for us to hold anybody to a standard that we just don't have. I don't think I could say it any better than Commissioner Beatty has already said it, but I'll echo that. I can't think of a better way to use that fund than investing back in our community in this way. Latinas are one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial groups that in the country right now, and access to capital is very hard. And so having groups like yours that do this kind of work is it's incredible, and it gives people the opportunities that they might not otherwise have. So I love the work that you're doing, the mission that you're doing. It's great for this community, and I'm going to be very supportive of this task. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Mary Beth, thank you at all the comments. I'm reminded from your what you shared about friends and family. If you don't have access to that, I appreciate Commissioner Beatty's history, and it just kind of reminded me of myself when I left a steady paycheck at a bank to get in the entrepreneurial world and made about 50% less money the first few years than I had at a steady payroll job, and the risk involved is incredible. And so I hope all these people you're talking about, they have the desire, because if they just want the money for a paycheck, I don't think that they'll succeed. But my friend and I that did that, we knew that there was an end rainbow somewhere, but sure took a long time and a lot of work to get there, and a lot of personal sacrifice, both personal and financial, to get there. So I trust that all of your investment analysis people are going after that spark in that person that's asking to get that lead, to get that help. But you're right, and I was fortunate to have part of the friends and family investment, so I didn't have to go to somewhere like you. But this is exciting, and it is it's in our fabric. Aviation, and we do know how to manufacture things and supply things to manufacture goods and services, but the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in our history. So
Yeah, no question.
Thank you for.
I'd love to, if I can, it's just such a perfect pivot, both Commissioner Howell from your comments and then all of the, Mr. Chairman, and then all the commissioners. Deborah Gladney was kind enough to join us today, and I'd love to let y'all hear from her for a second. You talk about an entrepreneur willing to step out of the cushy, steady paycheck and to put their lives on the line, and specifically in the case of Deborah and Angie and their company, to frankly provide a guiding light and a helpful tool to the regrowth of an economy post-COVID and for the hospitality and service industries that are trying to find their way. I don't know that she'll describe it this way, so I will. What they are doing is providing a level of dignity and professionalism and recognition of career aspirations for folks in the hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels. They've done this since COVID hit, and they looked around and said, wow, we're going to have to recover this whole segment of the economy. How can a technology tool, how can a new company we form help do that? And we at NXTUS and Accelerate Venture Partners have been privileged to be a tiny piece of their journey. And so I'd love to have Deborah come up and just tell you a little bit about what they're up to as an indicator of the kind of courageous and hardworking entrepreneurs that we're just privileged to work around and to help support.
Yeah. Deborah?
Well, thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you guys for having me here today, and I will try to keep this brief as well. But when Mary Beth told me about today, this is the type of things that I will make time for. In the busy, crazy schedule of entrepreneurship life, my sister and I were the ones who started the company. We knew early on that this was going to be bigger than us. A little bit about our story. We started the company back in 2020. My younger sister and I, we are children of African immigrants, don't come from money, first generation in this country. And my sister had this idea to help folks who are kind of going down the non-traditional education path, which tends to be a lot of hourly workers. She was working in the inner city schools in Los Angeles and just saw the massive disparities between kids who were college bound and kids who weren't, and just the opportunities afforded to them. And so, when COVID hit, we knew that it was going to be a perfect opportunity to help people, as we knew there were going to be a lot of shifts in the market. And so I remember calling her at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, girl, we got to do it right now. And so we were super excited to do it, but we had no idea how to start, where to start. Not only that, but then when we started realizing that it was going to be costly to get it off the ground, we had no one literally to turn to. We couldn't utilize our family. I remember we talked to an investor who was like, if you need $200,000, that's a small amount. You should go ask friends and family. And I'm like, I don't know anybody with $200,000. And if they have it, they're for dang sure not giving it to us. And so that was really like the first few days where we were just grinding. She ended up leaving her job. I was 8 months pregnant with my third child, so it was extremely risky. She moved and lived in my basement so that we could work on it together and cut costs. And as we were building and trying to figure things out, we literally just got on Google and just started researching. We pitched so many investors, so many folks, and I will never forget the only person that responded, and I must have sent about 80 emails. The only person that responded was someone at NXTUS. And they took us under their wing from day one. We really didn't have much. We didn't understand the vernacular. We were throwing out crazy valuations because we didn't understand it. And so it wasn't even just the capital, but it was the fact that they saw us. They saw the scrappiness that we had. They saw that we had a great idea. And they saw that, hey, they don't really understand a couple things, but if we can help them with the knowledge and the access, they may have a fighting chance. And so here we are 3 years later. We were the first Black women to raise more than $1 million in venture capital in Kansas. We've raised more than $4 million to date. In less than 2 years, we were able to build it to $500,000 in annual recurring revenue, employ 10 people locally, and still continue to go. And when I think about being able to be here 3 years later, we are not supposed to be here. If you look at the statistics, us as Black women in Kansas, I'm not supposed to be standing here in front of you. And it's because of folks like Mary Beth and what they're doing at NXTUS that, are giving, literally, putting a check to what they're talking about, that is giving folks like myself an opportunity in this country that now my kids will have an opportunity, and being able to set up that generational access moving forward. And so just really, I'm really excited about what they're doing. I applaud you all for seeing entrepreneurs like myself who are normally not seen. And so I will keep it brief, but thank you guys so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can we just give you a ovation? Commissioner Beatty.
Yeah, briefly, I just want to, you're incredible.
Thank you.
I know your family well. You have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful business. You have a beautiful heart for this community. TCAM just honored you as a 2023 Rising Star. You're the story, like you're the American story. And I know how hard it's been, and yet you guys still go. And I just want to elevate your story to this community because what you do matters so much. And it's not just employing people, it's your testimony to this community. When people and young girls like you, they see you and they say, I can do this. I can do this. Yeah. That's who we are as a community. That's who we are as a country. And you are the shining example of that. So
thank you.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful for you. I love your family.
Thank you.
I love your business, and carry on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Congratulations. Well said.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? With that, it's almost I'll make an emotional motion to approve this. So, as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Chairman Meister?
Aye. Congratulations, and thank you for being here and sharing your story. Fantastic. Next item, please.
Item D, consideration of a funding request for the Child Advocacy Center of Sedgwick County, CACSC, in the amount of $2 million.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Valerie Tovar with Finance. Before getting started today, I would like to acknowledge in the audience, we do have Diana Shun, CEO of the Child Advocacy Center of Sedgwick County, alongside a few of her representatives, as well as our Sedgwick County District Attorney, Mark Bennett. Commissioners, the Child Advocacy Center of Sedgwick County was incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit agency in 2008 to continue the multidisciplinary approach to addressing and mitigating the suffering of abused children. The mission of the Child Advocacy Center is to promote the safety, health, and emotional well-being of abused children and their caregivers by bringing together public, private, and community partners. The Child Advocacy Center houses multiple community agencies tasked with providing necessary services to children who are survivors of abuse and neglect. These agencies include state, city, county, and private partners. The Child Advocacy Center staff provide advocacy, mental health, case coordination services, community education, administrative support, and the facility to house the partner agencies working with these clients. The Child Advocacy Center reports 3,000 victims and caregivers received their cost-free services last year, and over the last 4 years have unfortunately experienced a 30% increase in clients being served, therefore making facility expansion an urgent need. Sedgwick County recently received a formal community development funding request from the Child Advocacy Center of Sedgwick County, asking for a one-time $2 million pledge for their Opening the Door campaign. The requesting funding would be utilized for project costs associated with the facility expansion project, which is estimated at $12.8 million. Currently, there are 8 Sedgwick County full-time employees from the Sheriff's Office co-located in the Child Advocacy Center, working in the Exploiting a Missing Child Unit, Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, and administrative specialists providing support to these units. To support this core function of public safety, Sedgwick County provides general fund support for these positions in the amount of $783,699. And in the last 10 years, technology expenditures have totaled $113,105. Historically, Sedgwick County has financially supported the Child Advocacy Center since 2014, providing a one-time $1 million allocation for a capital campaign in 2014, as well as $205,000 annually, which will increase to $218,000 in 2024. The Child Advocacy Center is unique in itself as they are able to provide their vital services to the community with all agencies housed in the same building, providing a more effective, efficient, and conducive environment. Commissioners, if you choose to approve funding of this item, we recommend funding up to the $2 million request this year, 2023, facilitated by a $2 million transfer from the operating reserve to the Community Service Community Programs budget. At this time, I would like to invite Diana Shun to the podium to provide you all with further details on their capital campaign.
Good morning, Diana. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Manager. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, to be able to share with you this important request that really impacts the safety and the health of the children throughout Sedgwick County. I have a short PowerPoint presentation I would like to share with you just to give you a little bit more information about our request.
Okay.
As mentioned earlier, obviously we have seen an increase in the number of cases that we have been working, and this past year we've had the opportunity to serve over 3,000 children and their family members who have experienced some kind of abuse. Obviously these children come to us from all socioeconomic statuses, crosses all races and religious lines. There are no boundaries under which the children that we serve. This project will allow us to be able to advance our mission, to be able to really continue to take care of the children that we serve. About 70% of the children that we serve have experienced sexual abuse, 20% physical abuse, and the remainder 10% are a mix of children who have experienced neglect, drug endangerment, human trafficking, and have been witnesses to other violence. Nearly 60% of our children are under the age of 12, so they rely on us to be able to provide safety to them. Unfortunately, our offenders know their children in about 90%, 80 to 90% of the cases. So safety is a significant part of what we work on a regular basis. We know that education, community education and awareness is one of the main reasons that we believe there is an increase in the reporting, because people recognize what child abuse is and recognize the importance of their role in being able to protect children. There are a variety of other reasons I'm certain that play into effect with that, but we are pleased, honestly, when we have children having the opportunity to come forward to be able to share that they have been abused, because we know the abuse is going on and we know that a significant number of abuse scenarios never come to light. We have the opportunity at the Child Advocacy Center to be a very unique service. We are the only child advocacy center that serves all of Sedgwick County's children. All of the services are free of charge. We are co-located with our partners, that we are the only child advocacy center in the state of Kansas that is co-located. There are other co-located child advocacy centers across the nation. Nearly 950 child advocacy centers exist across the nation, but many are not co-located, so we are fortunate to be able to have that experience, to be able to share our space with the Exploited and Missing Child Unit, which is a three-way partnership between the Wichita Police Department, Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, and the Department for Children and Families, as well as the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, which is also a partnership between the Wichita Police Department, Sedgwick County Sheriff's, and the Homeland Security. The District Attorney's Office does house part-time employees within the facility as well. And then recently we've been able to partner with KU Medicine to be able to provide us with a forensic nurse who is on site full-time to be able to provide medical evaluations, which is absolutely essential. We're very fortunate, and one of the things that we really did from the very beginning of developing the Child Advocacy Center was to be able to focus on unduplicated services. And that means that within the community, we wanted to make sure that we weren't duplicating services that were already available, but rather more efficiently and effectively be communicating with those folks. So you can see a long list of additional partner agencies that we work with on a regular basis. Many of these folks participate with us every Wednesday on our MDT, our multidisciplinary team staffings, to be able to look at difficult and unique cases that are going on. But certainly, this is an effective investment that allows us to be able to be more efficient in our investigation time, communication, and case coordination, which obviously leads to better outcomes. Again, you can see here the folks that are listed that are currently located within our facility and the importance of the roles that they play. Obviously, the space that we provide allows them to be able to do the forensic interviews in that space, to also do the suspect interviews in that space, and then to be able to provide the support services and meeting space that might also be necessary to be able to conduct their regular business. So that it is an important piece to that. One of the main things that we really look at and focus in our services is breaking the cycle, being able to change the impact of what is going on. We know that children who have experienced abuse and trauma without appropriate support services oftentimes experience then as adults alcoholism, drug abuse, depression, suicide attempts, increase in smoking, poor health, sexual promiscuity, sexually transmitted diseases, as well as physical other problems such as physical inability and severe obesity. And so all of those problems are things that we know from the research that can happen. And so our opportunity is to be able to be involved with them very early on and prevent those kinds of things from the long-term effects that can happen from childhood trauma. We have programs that are involved that are nationwide programs, things that are proven to be very effective. Our problematic sexual behaviors program, looking at cases where children are acting out inappropriately on other children and knowing that that recidivism rate is less than 2% in the programs that we've been running already for 5 years. And we have new programs that we are starting now as well for our adolescent age group. We moved into our facility in 2016 thinking that we had a long-term space available, and very quickly we found out that we were running out of space. We moved in with a staff of 8 at the Child Advocacy Center, and we now have a staff of 21. And so our partner agencies have also grown, and clearly the need within the community has grown as well. And we know that increasing space will be able to allow us as the Child Advocacy Center to really expand our advocacy program by providing long-term advocacy and support that we've been able to really do now, crisis intervention, but we want to expand that support systems. Therapy, we know again that the opportunity to be able to advance our therapy, which is a very needed service. We have extended wait times for children, and that's not appropriate. When they disclose abuse, we want to be able to give them support systems immediately and not have them wait 2, 4 months, or even 6 months down the road to be able to start processing the trauma that they have experienced. Our education, really focusing on prevention education and being able to help the community embrace the opportunity for them to be able to support children and recognize when they need to be involved as well. Certainly, internet safety is a big part of our education right now. And internet can be a beautiful tool, but it can also be a very evil tool. And we have seen the impact of that in many of the cases that we work. And then the medical evaluations, to be able to specifically focus on adding additional medical folks to be able to decrease the wait times and decrease the amount of times that children need to go into the hospital, into the emergency department, and wait for those services that they might need at that time. The topic of sexual abuse is oftentimes very difficult, and even physical abuse to be able to talk about, sometimes very taboo within our community. The CAC and our support services allows children the opportunity to not feel so isolated, to be able to talk freely about their overwhelming emotions, their feelings of hopelessness, and intrusive thoughts that they oftentimes have. We have several quotes here from former clients that have received our services saying things like, "Therapy gives me hope and healing. I don't let it bother me like it used to in the past. I have learned that it was my mom's fault. Daddy cares for me, and so does many family members and my therapist." That's a lot of insight for a 10-year-old to be able to put things together. Another client has described their trauma as a heavy backpack, and when they would come in to see us, they felt lighter because of that. Another client has said, "Looking back to the situation, I wasn't in a happy place, and no one should have to go through what I went through. I look at pictures of myself before starting therapy, and I can tell I wasn't happy. I was smiling, but my eyes were so sad. I take pictures now, and I can see it's a real smile. I'm becoming the person I'm supposed to be. If I could talk to other teens, I would tell them that they should not be afraid to show their feelings. It might be scary at first, but you'll get through it." The additional space that we're looking to add is nearly doubles our current footprint to allow us to be able to grow those services that we specifically talked about: therapy, expanding the medical, expanding our spaces to be able to do the advocacy work that we need, as well as the forensic interview rooms and the family rooms that are present. So the education meeting spaces, et cetera, are also a big part of that, and this provides us with growth opportunities for the future. So specifically, we can look at where our current floor plan looks like. You can see the area in the yellow off to the right is our current space. So if you enter the gray where the red arrow is, that's our current entryway into the facility. All of the space in the upper portion is our current facility. So the area that's in the darker purple clear to the left is the original portion of the building built in 1938. The area across the top is the portion that was built in the 1970s, and then you can see the next section was built in the 2000 bond issue. So our area that is bolded here to the south in location to our building will be the addition space, and you can see the significant amount of growth that we will have the opportunity for in the blue for therapy expansion and growth, the peach color for the medical, and then be able to expand our advocacy in the green by relocating and altering some of the additional spaces that we currently have. So this is an urgent need that we have, especially for the therapy program in particular, and we anticipate we have started the campaign in August of this year, and we anticipate construction to begin at the end of 2024 with a completion of 2026 so that we're able to better serve the clients that we have the current need to be able to do. As you are aware, our total budget is $12.8 million to be able to add. This is the second story, so only the original portion of the building has a second story, but the new addition would have a second story as well. It would also allow us the opportunity for some additional open space at this point to really be able to do that future growth that we also anticipate that we may need in years to come. We are asking for your consideration of a $2 million gift towards this campaign to be able to move us forward, to be able to allow us to be able to ask additional funders for other support. We have private donations thus far in $2.4 million since we started the campaign, and we continue to have many more asks that are on the table to be able to prepare for successful completion of this campaign. We have a campaign leadership committee that has been working hard and diligently to be able to make connections within the community and really focus on our private donations and our partners that we already have within the community and the developing new relationships as well. And then our board of directors certainly are actively involved as well. So I would like to invite at this time District Attorney Mark Bennett to come forward and make a few comments. In addition to his role as the District Attorney, Mr. Bennett is on the Board of Directors and as well as is also on our Campaign Leadership Committee. So we are fortunate to be able to have his investment and his commitment to this project.
Morning.
Hi, Mark.
I'll try to be brief. You've heard a lot of information. I'll just say that
With ICAC and EMCU and the District Attorney's Office, law enforcement who's housed within the CAC, we do a very good job of identifying the cases, working the cases, and bringing people to justice. And that is the model for most of the country, and that's how we deal with these things. What sometimes gets left behind is the impact on the victims. And our ability as cops and prosecutors to ensure that the children who are victimized lead productive lives and are not impacted adversely long-term and have their lives torn apart for decades is limited by what we can do. And that's where the CAC steps in. The therapy, the advocacy, the ability to even impact them with respect to the KU Medical School being in place there. It's a unique opportunity. And when I was part of the original discussion in the mid-2000s, I went on a trip to Ohio to see a CAC there. I didn't frankly think we needed one in Sedgwick County. We already had EMCU. Why would we need this? And after going to that program and seeing what they had, came back and went, I can't believe we waited this long. And this is frankly a legacy project for the city. This is going to benefit kids well beyond any of our tenure in our current positions. I will just tell you one story, and I'll have to sanitize it, because if I told you the truth, the full scope of it, it'd ruin your day. But I worked a case, I'm thinking about this 29 years ago, one of my first child abuse cases. Came downstairs and told my former boss, this was in a different jurisdiction, I just got this weird case, and I told him the facts of the case, and it was very, very upsetting, very gratuitous violence on this child. And I said, it's just bizarre, it's like a 14-year-old kid who's the suspect. And my boss said, let me guess his name is, and he told me his name, and I went, how do you know that? He goes, because the exact same thing happened to him 4 years ago, and I prosecuted his dad. I mean, you just see the cyclical, and I'm not suggesting, and I don't mean to suggest that every kid who's offended upon is going to repeat their offense, but where was the therapy for that guy? Where was the therapy for that kid? We are committed in this community and have shown our commitment through the CAC to all the kids who are unfortunately the victims of these kind of offenses. A 30% growth is troubling, but I do agree with Diane. I think it is very much a product of light having been shed on the problem, people being aware of the issue through education, through the exposure the CAC provides to this issue. So more kids who need the help are getting access to it. So I'm, as a member, first of all, as the district attorney, I'm fully supportive of anything that helps the CAC and our partner agencies within the CAC. As a private citizen, I think it's one of the best things we do in this community to help our children. And so I fully support this. I will add that to Commissioner Dennis's point that this is kind of a late entry in the year, and I certainly appreciate that. And if something should show up in the future, if a new situation is passed where you want it to come earlier in the session or earlier in the year, we would absolutely comply, would have complied this year. Frankly, there was a needs assessment that had to be done, and it didn't put us in a position to start making asks until the fall after the budget had been processed. So, but we want to be good partners with the county. The county's been a fantastic partner with us. But to echo what Dinah said, we've already got over $2 million in pledges from the private sector. We made a similar ask to the city. I do understand they're waiting until the new mayor and other two council members are impaneled after the new year to make their decision. But this kind of a gift would open us up for other grant funds from other organizations, both regionally and nationally, and would put us on the path toward getting this project done. So I'll stand for any questions you have. Again, I appreciate your time and attention to this. I can't underscore the importance of it any more than I have, but this is a big deal for our community, and I'm very proud to have been a part of the CAC from its inception. And when I'm finally I've had all the fun I could stand being DA, it's one of the projects I'll continue to be a part of, even in my private life, because I believe in it that much.
Thank you, Mark. There's a question, maybe. Commissioner Dennis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And Mark and Diana, thank you very much for being here today. Strange as it might seem, my struggles with this were minuscule, depending as compared to the last request that we just went through. Last one was $100,000. This is $2 million. But my biggest questions were of the manager and our CFO is, when can we afford it and how can we afford it? And they said we need to spend it out of 2023 all at once. Did we need to spend it over 5 years or however? That was honestly my questions. And the reason for that is I had the opportunity to serve on the task force or board, whatever you call it, as chairman. The chairman serves on that each year while they serve as chairman. And absolutely, I was unaware of the scope of the problems that exist in our community that you're helping solve. It's tragic when you see the things that are crimes against children and what's happening on the internet. It's tragic, and we have to have an organization. It's terrible that we have to have this type of organization, but we have to have it. And the people that serve with you on this, the sheriff is in the audience, the DA, the chief of police, the chairman of the commission, we all got to see exactly what you do each and every day, the issues that you're facing, and it's a very easy decision for me to support you today. Our CFO told me we need to spend it all at once. That hurts a lot, but I understand she's the expert on it. I'm not the expert on how that we get through these finances, but I sincerely support this because it's a need in our community, and I appreciate what you and your staff do every day. Thank you.
Thank you. We would love to work ourselves out of a job. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think we're going to see that in our lifetimes.
Okay. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. As Commissioner Dennis mentioned, normally the chairman takes the role of being able to sit on the EMCU board, and I'll have some questions about that in just a moment, but I wanted to thank Chairman Meitzner for halfway through 2023. I think that he was willing to offer the opportunity for me to replace him on this board because I think he's extremely busy, and I had enough time, I think, and an interest, obviously, to serve there. So halfway through 2023, I did replace Chairman Meitzner on this board, and I also did serve on there as the chairman in 2016. So I've been on the board long enough to see the data, and one of my takeaways is the data is sobering. It is it's a realization this is really going on in our community, and something has to happen. I think we have to address it somehow, and this is the answer. So obviously the entire organization of ICAC, EMCU, and CAC, that's the Child Advocacy Center, the Internet Crimes Against Children, and the Exploited Missing Children's Unit are all essentially working together in that facility. And I think this expansion, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this impacts all three of those potentially.
Absolutely.
Right. So with that, I would agree with Commissioner Dennis. I'm always concerned about the money, and I've always been supportive of the CAC. But before I go any further, I need to ask a couple questions. Because I see you're up there at the Board of Directors, I don't see a position up there listed for the County Commissioner, and I understand this is a CAC Board of Directors. I believe I'm serving on the EMCU Board of Directors, correct?
Correct.
And so how do those relate to each other? Is EMCU essentially is the CAC fall under the umbrella, if you will, of the EMCU?
No, we're two separate entities. So EMCU is a collaborative between the Wichita Police Department, Sedgwick County Sheriff's, and Department for Children and Families. And so they have their own budget, and all of their employees respond and report to all of their employers. They are housed within the Child Advocacy Center, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And so we certainly work together on a regular basis. We have daily meetings. We walk down the hall and we're all together. But we function together, but we're governed separately.
And so my previous question about this actually has an impact on all three organizations. That's a very important point for me to note here, and I shared this with you in my office. Again, my support. I think you can hear my support. I don't need to say any more about that. But before I go any further, I've talked to my counselor here. I think there's been or maybe a recent awareness over the last several years when we serve on one of these boards and we provide, if you will, advocacy for and voting for money to benefit the board that we serve on. There's a bit of a conflict of interest that can be can be interpreted there. So we want to be very careful about how we vote on these things. Not that I would vote no in any way here, but I think I need to be very careful, assuming that there's support for my colleagues. I don't know if there is or not. I believe there probably is. I need to probably, step away from actually voting on this because of that service. Since I serve on this board, and this potentially impacts the board that I serve on, I need to probably vote as an abstention today. Counselor, have I said that correctly?
Commissioner Howell, Justin Wagoner, County Councilor. Just to analyze it just a bit, I would point out that it's been indicated these are two separate entities, but also closely related in some ways. State law, under the statement of substantial interest and the requirements not to participate in contracts, does have a caveat that if your participation in an entity is with a 501c3, that's not a substantial interest where you can't participate in the contracts. And there's a Kansas Governmental Ethics Commission opinion to that effect, where a mayor of a city sat on a not-for-profit board, and the opinion said that it was okay for the mayor to participate in the contract as a mayor as well. So that's state law. But the thing I would probably caution in this case is that the Board of County Commissioners in 2018 adopted a code of conduct for ethical conduct that generally indicates that commissioners and their actions should be free from influence of business relationships and avoid the appearance of impropriety. I think erring on the side of caution could make sense in this case, Commissioner.
With that in mind, I need to be very careful with what I say, and it's not that I don't have a personal opinion. I think you can read between the lines here what my personal opinion is. But I just need to be careful not to influence my colleagues. Simply, I need to not be an advocate. I need to not be one of the votes that actually makes this happen. So I will just understand I'm stepping away because of the conflict of interest that I think I carry with that. So with that, that's all my comments. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Diana and Mark, for your comments today. When you actually analyze the data, it really is telling, and it's alarming, and 30% increase over the last 4 years. You're serving 3,000 victims last year, and you're doing it cost-free. The services you do are cost-free to these individuals. Is there anyone else in our community that does this cost-free to individuals, or who else? If you weren't here, who does this cost-free for these individuals?
Well, there's bits and pieces of some of the things that we do that are similar in the community that are done cost-free. I would use the Wichita Area Sexual Assault Center as an example. Okay. They provide cost-free advocacy and therapy. Again, it looks different than what we do, but it is a similar thing. And there are other nonprofits. ICTSOS does certainly provide their services cost-free as well. I'm certain that there are others, and then, there's not other nonprofits like even St. Francis Ministries. Sure. They're contracted through the state, so the client themselves don't necessarily pay for the services.
But the unique piece of this is what I'm trying to carve out is the interest of public-private, public nonprofit. What the taxpayer's interest in this specific ask as to doing what you guys do, and the service that it provides to this community. This would be an investment of taxpayer dollars into your expansion that is merited and worthy and needed, very much needed. I know your work and fond of the multidisciplinary model that you guys deploy over there, but I know your work from the foster care community and some of the children that you've worked with and just the phenomenal presence that you provide to this community and those that are in children's welfare. So today's a day to where we have entrepreneurs and children's welfare folks coming before me, and these are the two passions of my heart. So I know on a personal level all that you do there, and very much in support of not just your model and not just your organization, but the expansion, because it's very much needed. So I just publicly want to say how much I support what you do, and I'm grateful for what you do, and will continue to advocate for the things that you guys do over there, because I see the impact that it has in this community. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I think one of the things, return on investment is difficult to measure in many of these kinds of services, but the return on investment is the people that we work with on a daily basis, people that we're living next to, our neighbors, our cousins, our friends, because we don't know who child abuse has affected in some form or fashion. And so as much as it's difficult to talk about in many circles, it is extraordinarily important because that's what makes us a healthy, safer society. And this is an opportunity for the taxpayer dollars to really be put to use in that manner and in those prevention measures to be able to protect our community and the children that we serve who are so extremely vulnerable.
Okay, and Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you so much for being here today. I want to just reiterate part of your mission, which is to promote safety, health, and emotional well-being of abused children. And if you just let that sit with you for a minute, I mean, this has got to be some of the hardest work that happens in this community, but the most important, in my opinion, as well. And so we're all parents up here. I think we can all hate to imagine, but when we think about these things, of course, we think about our own kids and what that would mean to our families. I have a cousin that's actually utilized your services before, and I know the impact that you guys have made on their immediate family, and watching them through that process was heartbreaking. But thank God that we had somebody like you guys to be able to do what you do, wrapping those services around kids at one time, so we don't have to take these kids that are already victimized and have to relive that story over and over and over again when they tell it to everybody, and being able to just kind of share in that space it's incredible, the work that you guys are doing. So thank you for continuing to do this. I hate that you need to expand. I think that's awful, but I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that you're able to provide the services that are needed in this community, and that's just where we're at today. So hopefully we won't need all that space eventually, but today we do, and we need to make sure that you have that. So I am in full support of this ask, and I just hope that you guys know how much we all appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, commissioners, and I will also thanks for the information and serving on the EMCU board. I just think it's something that all 5 of us commissioners should almost get a quarterly reminder of the work you do, especially now that the advancement of internet crime and the stuff with your recidivism rate. Did you say is it like 98?
Yeah,
I mean,
less than 2% recidivism rate.
Wow, which is very helpful.
It's extraordinary.
So congrats to all those that are doing the good work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking. And thank you, Commissioner Dennis, for pointing out that this is a sizable amount that all of us, I think, raised our eyebrows originally.
Sure.
But thank you, Finance and Management, for guiding us, that gets us to a comfort zone that says, yeah, this is, and it also falls, I would argue, or not argue, suggest this falls in our mission of what we do here at the county for supplying services. So it's easier to support based on all the information that you've provided. So, and one last thing is, I am concerned about it. If we have a code of conduct that was done in 2018 that questioned if we should do this, there's too many boards that we all sit on that maybe I would support us reviewing that code of conduct to maybe make an exception for in that area if the commission would so desire, but we can worry about that a little later.
As chairman, I think that's worth considering and discussing more.
Right, especially if the state has issued. I don't know why we could follow the state from my observation. That's nothing to do with you.
I fully support you.
Okay. You support us supporting you?
I support you supporting us, yes.
A lot of support going on. Okay. All right. With that, I'll make a motion that we approve the funding as presented.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis?
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Abstain.
Chairman Meitzner?
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
This is an
Mark,
incredible
thanks
support.
for your help. Sheriff Feaster, you're in the audience. Thanks for all you do. And whoever else is on your team that's here, thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Next item, please.
Item E, report of the Board of Bids and Contracts, regular meeting on December 7th, 2023.
Good morning, Mr.
Morning,
Chairman
Joe.
and Commissioners. Joe Thomas, Purchasing Director. The regular meeting of the Boards of Bids and Contracts for December 7th, we have 3 items to present to you this morning. Our first is the mini excavator and bucket for Public Works. This recommendation is to utilize the NASPO Construction Equipment Master Agreement, and that's OK-SW192, and it's in the amount of $74,791.88. Our second item is bridge improvements. This is project B518, which is the construction of a new bridge located, this is under 79th Street South between Meridian and West Street. And this is for Public Works. This recommendation is to accept the low bid from Claver Construction Company Incorporated, and it's in the amount of $274,614.50. Our final item is the Health Department Facility Improvements Project Services Health Department. This recommendation is to accept the low bid from Icon Structures Incorporated in the amount of $863,000. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you may have, and I recommend approval of the 3 items.
Okay. Is there any questions about any of the items? If I don't see any, I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Bids contracts as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not really opposed to this necessarily, but I'm just curious on this first item. This includes a comfort package. Is that considered normal?
I think Mr. Lynn Packer's here, but I believe, yes, this is considered as a normal feature of that piece of equipment.
I don't think I've ever seen that on a Bobcat before. It includes a 7-inch display, HVAC, enclosed cab for a Bobcat. I'm a little, because I've never seen that before.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lynn Packer, Director of Public Works. Yes, that is standard for the equipment we get these days.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Staff. And a special thanks to the buyer of the year. Thank you. All right. Next item, please.
Consent agenda.
Mr. Manager.
Good morning, Chairman and Commission. Tom Stolz, County Manager's Office. Recommend approving of consent items F through P this morning, with the exception of N. That's going to have to be deferred. There was some paperwork that did not get submitted. That's a cereal malt beverage license application. So F through P with the exception of N.
Okay. Commissioners, you've had a chance to review them all. Is there any items under this to be pulled? I don't. Commissioner Howell.
Chairman, I don't want to pull the item off. If you'd allow me a point of privilege to just make a comment on item F. This is a agreement with KDOT, Kansas Department of Transportation, for K-15 corridor study. I just want you to say I'm glad to see this on here. I've been advocating for this now for I don't even know how many years now. So to have this on here and have this moving forward through this step is an extraordinary accomplishment. I want to say thank you to my colleagues, and thank you to our staff to get this on here. And I want to say thank you to KDOT for partnering with us to make this happen. So this is a really important thing for District 5. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for those comments. Being none others, I will make a motion to approve consent items F through P with the exception of N.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comments? Being none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis.
Aye.
Commissioner Beatty.
Aye.
Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Chairman Meitzner.
Aye. Okay. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Committee reports.
Committee reports. Commissioners, we serve on some committees. Anybody have anything to report? Commissioner Lopez.
I wasn't sure if I should do this under committee or other, so I'll just go ahead and do it now. But because I've been giving everybody updates on the advisory panel for the mental health hospital, I brought some the latest paperwork that we got from our meeting this week. There was a lot of discussion around the survey that we had put out, the results are in, and there's a packet in there that has all the results. The results will also be on our website and on KDAD's website today. I believe they might already be there. If not, they'll be there soon. And what we learned from that was, I guess I'll start by saying we needed 400 people to have an accurate idea of what the community wants. We had over 800 people send in a survey, so we're really happy with the amount of people that were surveyed. It came back saying they just don't want this by kids. I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to. No daycares, no elementary schools, no middle schools, just keeping it away from kids. And on the other end, on the results, you can see that they didn't mind if it was by, law enforcement or other medical facilities. So we didn't. A group of people used the data from the survey and narrowed down 14 options to the shortlisted 4. We have 1 building and 3 land parcels that we're looking at. We had a town hall last night to talk about those, to talk about how we got to this point, and Scott Bruner and Tanya Cole did a very good job of answering questions and just kind of giving an update on where we're at. There's some discussion at the meeting to try to do a town hall in the areas before we are able to vote on anything. Unfortunately, on the timeline we're on, that would be very challenging because we have to get this moving quickly, and I don't want to do it for one and then not do it for the rest, because I think that would give some groups more of a leg to stand on, and this is ARPA funding, so we have to be very careful with the conflict of interest stuff there. One thing that was discussed heavily in all of our meetings so far, but was brought up last night as well, is the discussion around 50 or 100 beds. So there is definitely a need for the 100, but we have funding right now for the 50. I'm still going to ask that we use KDAD's $15 million for the operational of the second year, since it's not going to be built yet, to add to our funding source now. So we'll have $55 million instead of 40, and then hopefully we can get to that 50 or 100, or at least closer to the 100 beds to start with. Some of the state people that are on this panel thought that if we didn't do it now, it'd be very, very hard to come back and ask for an additional build of 50 beds. So if we can try to get that now, I think that's kind of the direction that we're going to be going, if we can find the funding that allows that to happen. So there's a survey that we are putting out today that you can go to and choose which of the 4 that I'm not sure, Tanya, if you want to answer this. I'm not sure if we're asking which one where we don't want it or where we want it. But the survey is going out. I suggest that we send that out to as many people as possible, just so we can get an understanding from the community now that the locations are known of where this option could be. If people couldn't come to the town hall last night, this is still a great way to hear from our community.
Commissioner Lopez, good morning. Tanya Cole, Assistant County Manager. To answer your question, Commissioner Lopez, they're calling this a best fit survey. So what they're asking input on is out of the 4 shortlisted properties, input on where you feel that the best location would be for the mental health hospital.
Okay, perfect. And then we are meeting again, I believe, on Monday, the advisory panel, so that way we can have something to this commission next Wednesday, which we'll go into executive session and discuss, so we can hopefully get this done in January, which keeps us on our timeline, which is strict, but understanding the need is there. So I think after we decide on a location, I think it would be a good opportunity at that point to do something in the area, so we can have neighbors or people that live just in the vicinity, or business owners can talk to us about their concerns, and we can make sure that we do whatever we can to address those. But I think that's appropriate at that point. I don't think it's appropriate until then, just because of the conflict of interest with ARPA and everything. So that's just the update on the mental health hospital, where we're at, and the town hall that we had yesterday. Again, you guys have all the paperwork, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer whatever I can, but we will be meeting again on Monday.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner, and thanks for serving on that. That was good. That survey is good. I've been able to watch some of that, and that was good information. So thanks for this updated report. Anybody else? Committees? Okay. Don't see any. Next item, please.
Other.
Under other. How about anybody have anything to say, to share? Commissioner Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 things. One, we don't normally do this, but I want to highlight that we lost a very humble hero in the last week. Most of us had an opportunity to meet him as he was in our room when we declared Purple Heart, Sedgwick County as a Purple Heart County. But Master Sergeant Raymond Reyes earned a Purple Heart for wounds that he received. He also earned the Bronze Star, one of the highest medals given to a combat soldier for heroic achievements against the enemy. He had the Combat Infantry Badge, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, United Nations Service Medal, Korean Citation, Korean Service Medal with 2 stars, U.S. Army Reserve Medal. He also provided great support to USD 259s in their JROTC program. He was recognized as the Distinguished Hispanic Veteran of the Year, and he was just most recently the Grand Marshal of our Veterans Day Parade, and my son had the opportunity to carry him in one of my Corvettes. And he sat right beside me during the closing ceremonies. I just want to thank him for his service. The real cool thing, and I hope that his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren recognize that they had a hero. He had 31 great-grandchildren and 7 great-great-grandchildren that can remember him. So it was a life well lived, and I appreciate him very much. And it brings me to the second item that I wanted to touch on, is he was the reason I actually met him first time was because he was a huge supporter of JROTC. And every event that I went to with JROTC, he was always there. And yesterday, Commissioner Lopez and I had an opportunity to go to the annual superintendent's breakfast recognizing JROTC cadets and their teachers. And the really neat thing about being able to go to that breakfast is that we get to hear from the students that are in JROTC and what the impact is on their lives. And I just want to talk about 2 of them that we heard from yesterday. One was a young middle school girl, and she was in trouble with her parents. She was in trouble with the school. She was in the office every single day. And she became a member of JROTC. And she says, today I'm a leader. That's pretty powerful. Another one that really touched my heart was a young gentleman. He's been homeless his entire life, and he hasn't had a family. And he joined JROTC, and he says, I now have a family. So that's how the JROTC touches our kids. So anyway, that's my 2 things that touched me in the last couple days. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. What else? Commissioners? Okay. Commissioner Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Dennis, for sharing those 2 items. It's very moving. I just wanted to say thank you to my colleagues, and especially Commissioner Beatty and to Tanya Cole and our other staff that worked hard. We had, I think, 5 meetings with city, county, and state came together, and a lot of other staff, a lot of other providers in the community came together at a round table. And it ended up, we were able to develop a letter to the governor, and that did, I guess we finished up that effort yesterday. I believe this letter is on its way to the governor right now. It's the effort to get some capital investment funding for the multi-agency center capital improvement project that's going to hopefully change our homeless population opportunities to get back on their feet. So that's really the intent. What I was pleased about was the participation around the table, the partnerships, and the bipartisan attitude of everyone at the table. And I think that overall, I learned a lot through this process, and I think this is a model for how to get some stuff done. So in the future, when we have challenges that are regional challenges, I think that was turned out to be a really good experience, and I hope we could do this again. In addition to that, as that letter went out, it wasn't perfect, and there's people could pick it apart and say there's a word change or maybe an idea that they didn't care for. But overall, we did get quite a bit of buy-in from communities all around us and organizations all around us, including the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce and other organizations. And so I was just really pleased to see the process work. And I think we had some great people at the table. and some great people behind us that helped us get this done. So I want to say thank you to our staff, especially Tanya Cole and Commissioner Beatty, and of course the support of my colleagues as well. So thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Well, thank you both for saying that. I just wanted to express, reflecting as we come to about the close of the year, I just want to thank again Commissioner Lopez for serving on the committee that she just reported on. It's incredibly important, and I want to congratulate Commissioners Howell and Beatty for taking a real bold leadership position on the homelessness that you just have addressed. And I want to congratulate Tom and Tanya and staff on the purchase of the building to relocate all the ComCare activity right next to a great campus that's going to be built. And just reflecting on all this, these are bold and totally responsible decisions and efforts that we are doing combined. And I'm sure, and Commissioner Dennis, you've done a great job. but it's just, and that's why when you reflect, that's why we run for office, and that's why we serve. This serves the people and our community and the state, and that's our goal is to make this place a better place to live and attract and survive. And so it's just great. It's great information and great accomplishments. I just want to congratulate all of you on your work. So, all right. Anything else? Okay, I don't see any. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Oh, with that, we stand adjourned.
Today is scrappy.